I'm Mike,
And I'm Amber. Welcome to the Covenant Chronicles,
where we tell you the truth about relationships.
giving you the tools to build the foundation you always needed. Hello, and welcome back to the Covenant Chronicles.
Oh, that was crazy. I didn't even know we were starting over here clearing my throat and all kind of stuff.
That's fine.
I guess.
I mean, I still sound crazy, so it's fine. It is what it is.
All right, then. So we're talking about childlike behavior and basically what that looks like and why it is important in your relationship and how it can create, once again, another place of connection and intimacy. And, it's so interesting because in scripture, it talks about being like little children and listening and, basically having the mindset of a child. And it's so interesting that this is much like life in a lot of ways, right? And it doesn't have anything to do with being immature per se and not acting your age. It has more to do with just remembering to be willing to learn, be willing to absorb things like a child, not be so set in stone, and as well as just being playful sometimes, right? And remembering to have fun. Yeah. And we forget that so much. And it's funny because this got brought up basically because the kids, have one of the Nintendo Switches, and they have a bunch of different Mario games that they can play. And you and I found ourselves, late at night. We don't get a chance to do this very often, and it's not, part of our normal nightly routine. But there was a few days there where we kind of went and veered off course, and every night the kids would, go to bed, and then we'd be like nerds, playing until ridiculous hours in the morning playing Mario together,
Yeah.
and being silly. And we're over here, just almost going back to, years ago of doing whatever it was. And, it wasn't really video games back then, because, well, it wasn't really a thing. And if it was, it wasn't, a big thing. But it's this mindset of like us just being playful with each other and having fun and finding these little ways to really connect with each other. And this is like a silly one, right? Because like what adults go out, and just play video games, right? And there are some people that's their thing, right? And there's nothing against that. But in a sense, right? Like that's not like we're not big into video games. It's not our thing. And, in general, it's not necessarily like the best nightly routine if we sat down and just played video games every night.
Yeah.
However, taking this time and, basically just kind of falling into this, being playful with each other and playing Mario and being, nerdy and fun and whatever, and giving each other crap and poking fun at each other and, whatever, it created just this space of us being able to be playful and childlike, right? And that's not the only place that we do that, but it is a great example of times in a relationship where you have to just, get outside of your norm. And whether, that's playing Mario, or it's a tickle fight with your partner, or you're wrestling around a little bit, or you mess with each other, because she's in the kitchen cooking, and, she's doing something, and, she's got flour or something, and you just take a little pinch of flour and put it on her cheek, or sprinkle it down her shirt, or, whatever. or things you do to me, like come up behind me and like, grab the back of my leg because it tickles me. If you and like I'll be, doing something, you'll come up and do that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of this mindset of just remembering to be playful and fun within the relationship and not being so rigid all the time.
I think it's a good indicator of how your relationship is doing too. If you can be playful and fun together and let your inner child out. Because typically speaking, like if you don't feel safe in your relationship, or you don't feel like you have that like emotional safety or whatever, you're typically going to act like what you think your partner wants or needs. And you don't really let your guard down. You don't really like let your walls down. You just are basically like playing this part of what you think everyone else wants you to be, right? But when you get to a certain place in your relationship and you have that emotional safety and you have that, just feeling like you can be you without being like judged for it, you start letting those walls down. You start to be more playful with each other and you get to see like the sides of each other that you didn't necessarily know were there. And that's some of my like favorite times with you, is when I just like see you be goofy and silly. I'm like, ah, there's that, like there's that silliness. There's that like playfulness.
I feel like that's like every day almost, though.
Now, but
Yeah.
like it definitely has not always been that way. I
Yeah.
think for a long time we both tried to like be who we thought the other one wanted us to be, until we like started breaking down all those walls and stuff. And
I wonder how much of that comes from, past. Oh, I don't wonder. I guess that's the wrong term. What I should say is how much of that comes from previous relationships, though, right? Of like trying to being in a bad place and just spending your time trying to figure out what the other person wants and just trying to put on this fake face of just being who you think they want to be just to keep the peace,
yeah,
inside of your relationship, because it's not in a good place. And when you take that down, when you get rid of that, when you can be in a place of playful fun, right? And this is where going back to the, me being hard on the guys, I think it stems from the guys, really. And the environment we create for you in the sense of being able to create like that emotional safe space, right? Which allows you to be calm. And then when we create that and then we're playful and we're fun, it allows you to be playful and fun and to bring that side out of yourself as well. And then it creates this reciprocation between the two of you where you both are being fun and playful, and it makes things more lively. It brings up the whole energy inside of the relationship, and it continues to encourage like bringing out these like the fun side and the authentic side of each other.
yeah. I've noticed it a lot recently. Like I'll just do something ridiculous and I'm like, oh, and that was my child side coming out. Just like make random noises or voices, or like just randomly like run and jump on you just for the heck of it. Like
Yeah, especially when I'm like laying back on the couch or something.
yeah, tickling you, just being silly.
Hmm.
I'm kind of goofy, to be honest.
Goofy. Yeah. No.
I kind of am.
Yeah.
So when I actually let that out and like don't feel like I have to worry about like, oh, are you gonna judge me for being silly? That is fun. I enjoy that.
What's silly is this dang dog right now.
I know. We mention Remy way too much, but, like, he is being a hot mess express tonight. Like, he's trying to climb on my lap right now, and I don't even know why.
Because I was mean to him.
You were mean to him before we started, and now he's trying to be a pouty baby. Look at that face.
Anyways, back on track here. The guest speaker over here, the dog.
Do you have some words to say, Remy?
Some words of wisdom for being playful.
No, just got looks.
Oh, my Lanta. Anyways, back to relationships and not dogs. Yeah, it's I think that's one thing that we forget about, when we get in these places, and I think it's especially true for, women when they get to a place of being more in like a fight or flight, it doesn't allow them to be playful, right? And it puts you in that space of like, basically like you were explaining, where are you going to get criticized or judged or whatever for being goofy, right? And it takes that away and brings you to a more relaxed place. And it changes the whole dynamic, and I think about it, you said it was earlier, it was a good measure of the health of the relationship. And what's funny about that is, guys will complain about not being intimate enough with their wife, right? Or, oh, I'd really like for us to have adult playtime more, right?
Yeah.
And what's funny is you see a direct correlation between that side of the relationship and how playful, right? In the sense of maybe one partner is playful, right? But when they're both playful and they both can interact and be goofy and playful together, it's amazing how much more the other side of it follows,
Yeah.
right? And it's funny because when we go back and we talk about all these other things inside of a relationship and, are you doing this? Or are you doing that? And it's this thing of when you do those things consistently and when you're investing and you're watering the grass on your side of the fence and you're continuing to do the things that you're supposed to do as a man, and then you can become in a place of this like playful, fun goofiness, right? Then it just creates this other dynamic of like playful, fun goofiness throughout the day, which then leads to other stuff at night or even during the day sometimes,
Yeah.
right? And because, the wrestling and the tickle fights and the whatever can turn into other things. Not saying to expect that, man, because when you set expectations, you'll be let down every time. And that's not a dig at women. That's a dig at when you set expectations inside of a relationship, that's when you start having issues, right?
Yeah.
There's a difference between standards and boundaries and expectations. Those are vastly different things. And that's maybe a great topic for another podcast. However,
For sure.
um,
Well, and I've seen things too about like I do think it's more common men expecting like them touching their wives. They expect that to lead to intimacy. And a lot of times with that expectation, that just turns off their wife. Like,
mhm.
please don't touch me.
Well, because they put off a needy energy,
Yeah.
right? And what's funny is even sometimes people will acknowledge, their frame as being, oh, I used to have this needy frame and I solved this or I changed this. But what's so interesting about that though is, they still miss the needy energy inside of like the day-to-day stuff, and just the expectation of, like you said, oh, well, if I touch her, then this is what I'm expecting. Well, that's your problem, and that's why you're let down, because you're expecting, and it creates an energy that turns her off,
Yeah.
right?
And there's a difference between being silly and fun and playful together and like touching with expectation of something.
Right.
Like when you're just having fun and being silly and playful together, that, like, I don't know. That's not the first thought that goes through my mind. However, it does typically lead to us doing things, right? Because we're just having fun together and we're being playful. And like that's where things naturally lead. But it's not like you or I are doing that with that set expectation of like, oh, well, I'm gonna be silly with you right now, so you better give me sex. Like, that's not.
I don't know. I feel like you be setting that expectation sometimes.
I do not.
Oh, it's been a couple days, and I'm gonna be silly and playful. You better give it to me tonight.
No. I
That,
get feisty sometimes, but
that
that's
is true.
different.
That is true.
That's a whole different discussion.
That is very true. But it's, that's the thing though, is like with the fun, playful stuff, it can be anything, right? Like it could be, hey, sit down and let's draw the first thing that comes to our mind, right? And here's the thing, like, especially if, your partner's been stuck in this like fight or flight mindset or whatever, like that could be a really hard thing for them to do. But you want a fantastic way to help pull them out of that? Sit down and just say, hey, I really want to spend some time with you right now. And if it's a thing where, especially men, like if your wives are feeling overwhelmed and, maybe they just got the kids in bed and they're trying to clean up the kitchen and stuff now, and you're trying to pull them away from that, like that's not the right time to do it, right?
Yeah.
Go help them clean the kitchen real quick, right? Go help them pick up, go help them do a couple of these things, and then say, hey, I want to spend time with you after we get this done and after we get this cleaned up. Uh, I'll have a fun activity for us, right?
Yeah.
And just leave it at that. And then just go get some dang crayons or colored pencils, which if you have kids, you guaranteed have somewhere in the house, or some markers or something, right?
Yeah.
And then go sit down and just be like, hey, let's draw the first thing that comes to our mind, and she very well might be like, oh, I don't know, and this and that, and just reassure her, hey, it's okay. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated. Just first thing that comes to your mind. It doesn't have to be Pablo Picasso over here. Like, just draw something, right?
Yeah.
And just see what happens, or like the whole thing with, playing Mario. Like, go take the time to, sit down and be a nerd with your partner for a little bit, or, you know, whatever that looks like to you, just being playful, if you guys haven't had a tickle fight in a little bit, maybe do that, you know?
Yeah. You know what I'm thinking though while I'm sitting here is like I feel like we've talked about like the female side of it a lot, but like what about for men? Because I think it's a struggle for men to be playful too. Like what?
Oh, for sure. I mean, here's the thing. Guys are good. The one thing I will say that's different is, between men and women are very different, is a lot of times when you guys are with your friends, you'll be somewhat playful, and certain women that really are just confident in themselves and, in a good place mentally and emotionally, they tend to be do it with their friends too, right? But a lot of times there's like a expectation and they have to act a certain way. Like, guys, if we're good friends, like we're gonna act dumb anyways, right? Like, we
Me
just
and my
do it as
best friend are goofy as heck together, but
right. And that's where like guys are going to tend to do it anyways, unless they're just really in an unhappy place in life, right? And that's a whole nother thing, is if they're in this like mindset and this unhappy place in life in general, like they might not, right? But in the relationship, uh, I would say that men enjoy it just as much as women do, right? Like, when we can just be our authentic self and be silly and goofy and fun and not judge, like, it's I would say this is an area that's very unilateral or equal, in the sense that like men and women both need that space and they both respond very similarly. Now, how we show up in the relationship when we're allowed to be in this space can be different in the sense that, you know, women will tend to be more open, and take down some of their emotional walls, and of course be more open to intimacy. Men will tend to, I believe, want to show up more for their spouse in just like the day-to-day things, in the acts of service. Now this could be very different, and I guess for each person it's different, but I would say as a general trend, those are the habits you're going to see. Um, but for men, I mean, it's definitely a thing of like when we can be more open and authentic, it does lead to, um, I would say it leads to trust on both sides, right? For both parties. And it leads to building this trust where we feel like we can confide, we feel like we can be more open, we can tell each other the truth more. And it overall leads to these other areas of the relationship in which uh, open communication and trust and just openness in general is promoted
Yeah.
through this like basic being playful and being childlike and that sort of thing. And I mean, let's be honest, we've talked about this before. Men don't ever really grow up. Our toys just get more expensive, right? So like when we can still act like a kid to a certain point, and this is, I feel like I have to give this caveat because anytime we explain this, you're going to get people that take things way out of context, right? And in the sense of this is not a
Remy, lay your butt down, dude. Oh,
I
my
was more or
Lanta.
less talking about him jumping on that blanket without a cover on it.
Oh, I thought it
That
was
dog's
him.
about to become the cover.
His little footprints back here.
I'm
Uh.
gonna fight you, dude. Anyways, totally lost my train of thought. The dog's screwing up the podcast over here. He's a good dog. The
You're talking about a caveat to something.
So the caveat being that women a lot of times feel like they have another child when it comes to, their partner. Now, this is not what we're talking about, right? Because
No.
a man can still be in his frame that he needs to be in of stoicism and leadership while being playful with his spouse,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Him handling stuff and being able to communicate and not being reactive to her emotions and all of these negative things that make her feel like she's dealing with a child
Yeah.
have nothing to do with the joke of men never really grow up, our toys just get more expensive, and being playful with your wife or your spouse, right?
Yeah.
And those are two very different things. And it's important to understand the differences between those,
Yeah.
right? If you're in a place where you being playful and like goofy with your wife, I will say this, right? Because if you're in this place and you're being playful and goofy with your wife and she is very stonewalling you,
Uh-huh.
there is another part of the relationship that you are failing at that she just has walls up with you in general.
Yeah.
And so
Probably.
if you're like, if you started off dating somebody and they've always been that way with you and they've always been a certain way, like for one, everybody has an inner child. So like if you haven't pulled it out of them, you should probably audit your relationship.
Yeah.
Two, if you ignored the red flags in the beginning of the relationship and nothing has changed, should probably audit it. That's probably on you. But that being said, especially if you know she has a playful side or you've seen hints of it, it's on you to really pull it out. And if you as a man are attempting to be playful, I'm going to tell you that there's other sides of the relationship that like you're completely failing at right now, and it has made her put up walls, and she can't get into that frame of being playful with you, right?
Yeah.
The flip side is also true in the sense that men can be in this place as well, like when a woman will be try to be playful and fun and whatever, and he's just kind of like, I've heard it referenced before as like he looks at me like I'm an idiot,
Yeah.
right? Or like I'm dumb or like something. And if that's the internal conversations you're having with yourself, like one, that should never be an internal conversation you're having with yourself. But two, if he is, more often than not, he's got some sort of like priority screwed up in the sense that like there's something wrong that he's focused on right now. And either one of two things. Either one, he's really stuck in a place of trying to figure some stuff out in life, and he doesn't know how to communicate those things with you. Or two, he is not figured out how to do that in a relationship, and that may be something that he has to learn.
Hmm. We had a couple periods where there were some times that I tried to be playful and it did not go very well. And so the playful side kind of went back in for a little bit.
And I think that's where, we figured out though over time, right? And learning how to communicate together and actually say, like, okay, if something's wrong or I'm off, right? You don't, you also don't take it personally anymore. And we have an
Yeah.
understanding of like, there's something off there. And like, you'll try to talk to me about it.
Yeah.
And then I figure out a way to communicate that. And we actually work through it. Not necessarily like you solve the problem, but like we work through it in the sense of like I communicate, hey, this is going on. You basically like communicate back with like understanding. And then, there's this like mutual understanding of, hey, I'm solving this. And sometimes just taking that pressure off of like, I don't know how to communicate this, and then us communicating it allows me to actually problem solve it.
Yeah. I don't think we've had that issue in a while, but I can just reflect back and remember a couple of times that it did happen. But it goes into just kind of what we were talking about, though, with like where your relationship is at. Because we haven't had that issue because our relationship has been in a really good place. But yeah.
It's funny. I was just thinking about this earlier, actually. Speaking of the childlike playfulness, is we get on our kids for antagonizing each other, right? If you have more than one kid, they're brother, sister, brothers, or sisters, or whatever, they're always messing with each other, right?
Yeah.
Always like, knock it off, right?
Yeah.
But then it's funny because as adults, we tease each other, and basically do the same thing. And then it's playful fun. And I was thinking about it and I'm like, granted, there's a way of doing it, right? And that's one thing that like it seems like when kids like they don't know how to do it, it's always like a, really mean way of doing it to each other, if you
Yeah.
will. But it's funny that, becomes a thing. It's like we're always like, hey, stop teasing each other. And then when you get older, that's exactly what you do.
I also think you get to a point where you like understand teasing and like I don't think kids really like they understand it in the sense of like they're doing it to be silly and playful, but they don't like their emotions don't process and understand that the other person is being silly and playful.
Mm.
So like they're doing it and thinking that, but then when it happens to them, they're like, "Oh, that's so mean," you
Hmm.
know.
I just thought of like the meme you see around all the time online of like, when we were little, we're taught not to hit little girls and pull their hair, and then we grow up and now they just want to be spanked and have their hair pulled. I'm like, that's crazy.
No.
Liar. Total left field on that one, but the way my mind goes. Now you're over here dying.
Yeah. You got me all worked up over here.
You can't even breathe through your nose, bro. You sound like Remy over here.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Anyways, back to child play. Or adult play, I guess.
Yeah.
On that note, you should, this week, figure out if you are playful already. Go do something different and playful that you haven't done before. If you're in a place where you really aren't playful with your spouse or haven't been in a while, go figure out one thing that you can do with them that's playful. If your kids have a Nintendo Switch, go play Mario with them. If you have kids and you have arts and crafts stuff, do arts and crafts with your spouse. If you don't have kids, there are plenty of things you can do as well. You can do arts and crafts as an adult. Screw it. Go to Walmart, get you some arts and crafts, and come home with arts and crafts.
Yeah, adult coloring books. Those are a huge thing.
Yeah. There are some real interesting ones out there, too. Wow, that's crazy.
Oh, my Lanta. Yeah. Just find something fun to do together. Start somewhere small. I would suggest tickle fights, but that's just my personal favorite, and some people don't like that, so, I guess it is what it is. Base your thing around your
You just be
environment.
cheating, that's all.
Hey,
Because you have like
listen,
2 tickle
the
spots
fact
on
that
your
I
entire
don't
body.
tickle is not my problem.
That's like a debatable. Like you do, but there's specific spots, and it has to be like
Really?
the perfect timing and like all this stuff.
I can't help that I'm not ticklish and you are. It just gives me an advantage. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm just gonna pin your hands behind your back again. Anyways, all right, go do something fun with your partner. Go be playful with your partner. Go have fun with them. Remember what it's like to have fun with them. You're with them for a reason. At some point, you guys had fun together. So stop being boring and letting life make you boring and go have fun again.
Yeah. Having fun is awesome. I sounded like a kid there.
I guess. On that note, we will talk to y'all next time.
Okay, bye.